Hello, everyone, and welcome today. I will be presenting our management case study analysis, where we will be exploring the dynamics of organizational change and innovation. Our team. Before we dive into the material, I want to briefly acknowledge the incredible work behind this group. This presentation was put together by our team members Chai Jinwen, Rudra Akare, Wang Jishi, Muthian Asitza, Maraz Mohammed, He Tianju, Lai Keiji, Kaisan Haslami, and myself, Hugo Pacheco, and Li Juanqi. Now let's begin with our first case study. The Google employee walkout. A key question here is who were the change agents at Google and what exactly made them change agents? We identified three primary drivers. First is Meredith Whittaker, who acted as a change agent by pushing for fundamental changes over several years through official internal channels, such as committee and CEO meetings. Next is Claire Stapleton. Once the news broke regarding a controversial executive exit package, she took the crucial step of sending a mass email to employees stating that they had to do something, which successfully ignited collective action. Finally, the hundreds of employees themselves acted as change agents. They replied with ideas, collaborated to comply five specific demands in a Google Doc, and successfully organized a global walkout involving over 20,000 people across 30 cities. Now, moving on to our next slide, we need to understand the underlying forces, both internal and external, that made this change inevitable. The internal forces were rooted in long-standing employee dissatisfaction regarding discrimination, harassment, and workplace inequities. It became clear that the existing internal channels had completely failed to result in any fundamental changes. The major external force was a public catalyst in October 2018. The media reported that Google had paid a $90 million exit package to a former executive who had been accused of sexual assault, and even praised him upon his departure. This external revelation was the final push that sparked the internal movement.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me solve the two questions to you. First, what areas of organizational change matter the most to employees in this case? Okay, it can divide it. It have three areas. First, policing. Second, culture. Third, people. For policing and first arbitration for sexual harassment, address pay and opportunity inequities. For culture, eliminate the cultures that protected powerful executives build a truly inclusive environment. For people, change how management handles harassment and show they genuinely value employee concerns. Let's move to the second question. What techniques for reducing the leaders' resistance to change at Google could employees use to help make further progress towards these changes? The answers can divide to four parts. First part, education and communication. Present data, personal stories, and evidence to make the case for deep change. Second part, participation. Propose joint employee management task forces to co-create solutions. Next part is facilitation and support. Offer to help pilot new programs or develop training to ease implementation. The last part, negotiation. Use the demonstrated power of collective to banking for clear commitments on the remaining unmet demands. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So let's try to understand our case number one today, which is Google employee walkout in 2018. So for years, Google employees raised concern about unfair treatment and workplace misconduct, but leadership remained largely unresponsive because they were a very large corporation. So they didn't have that much accountability towards their employee. there were a lot of people who wanted to work for Google, so they had a huge amount of talent pool from which they could pick on. So the jobs of the employees were very volatile. They could be fired anytime. So most of the people kept their mouths shut. But in 2018, something happened that triggered a strong response from the employees. So it was revealed that Google paid a large exit package to a senior executive accused of sexual harassment and publicly praised him upon departure, meaning that not only Google tried to hide his behavior, they also did something to uplift his reputation outside. This was revealed by Google's subsidiary YouTube employee when she sent a passionate email urging colleagues to take actions against these issues. The employees responded very strongly and collaboratively, created a shared document outlining their demands. The strong union happened because the employees knew that how serious of an offense this was. So if they didn't unite this time, it would mean that they would always have to suffer the injustices from Google and many more corporations like that. So the workers presented five key demands. One was to end pay inequality. There was a very internal pay inequality in Google, meaning the top executives earned very large chunk of the profits, whereas the bottom employees were not paid according to their labor. So it was the first demand, and the second demand was stop sexual harassment, which was referred previously. We mentioned that a Google senior executive harassed employee. That's why it was strongly demanded that sexual harassment stops here and all the women get safety conducts within the company. So number three was ensure fairness for all, including contract workers. That means that all the workers would now be legally binded to the company to receive justice from them. And last was improve transparency. So in big corporations like that, there are a lot of clauses that reduces the chance of employees getting involved in the internal picture, so they don't know what's going on inside the company. So this meant that it would now be very clear to the employees that what decision making's happening now. So that was all from my part. The rest of it would be explained by my groupmate. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'd like to talk about the 2018 Google Employee Walkout. Back in November 2018, over 20,000 Google employees across 30 countries, more than 20% of the entire workforce, took a part in a global walkout to protest the company's handling of harassment case and push for change. As a direct result, Google leadership agreed to end mandatory representation for harassment claims and introduced harassment training. However, most of the workers' core demands were not fully met, so they continued advocating for long-term, meaningful improvements in workplace places and culture. This event shows how collective employee action can push large corporations to respond to workplace issues, even if progress is gradual. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mutia Astiza. Today I'm going to answer the question of case 2. So for the first question is, why is innovation a more accurate word to the Microsoft latest efforts than creativity? So the answer is that creativity and innovations are related, but creativity is more like in combining ideas into a new and unique way. So it focuses mainly on the generations of ideas. For innovation, they go one step further because it involves applying those ideas into something useful, practical, valuable, such as products, service, process, or work methods. So for Microsoft, they did more than generate new ideas. So that means they turned ideas into actions. So they executed them through investments in startups, redeploying talent to AI, and integrating ChatGPT into Bing or Copilot. So, and they also embrace competitors like Linux, 60% off Azure, and iOS support. So, innovation is the accurate term. So, for the next question I'm going to answer is what structural, cultural, and human resource variables have helped encourage innovation success at Microsoft since 2014? So, for the answer is that cultural shifted from a defensive approach to an offensive one. So that means that embrace risk and ambiguity by adopting Linux and iOS. And for the structural is that abundant resources to acquire firms. After discontinuing the mobile Windows operating system, they decided to have the talented employees to be free to work on the new projects. And for the last one is human resources. They elevate creative people from acquisitions. For example, Kevin Scott from LinkedIn, because he became the chief technology officer and he provided a high job security, reducing the fear of failure. That's all from me. That's all from my part. Thank you.
Hello guys, good afternoon. Today I'm gonna break down Microsoft's innovation strategy by addressing two key questions. Let's look at the first question. Has Microsoft achieved disruptive innovation with its AI products? The answer is actually no. While these AI tools are revolutionary, the text classifies ChatGPT as a breakthrough innovation. The distinction is that a breakthrough creates an entirely new market where nothing existed before. It isn't disruptive because it didn't attack an existing market with a simpler or lower cost solution. It literally expanded the boundaries of what technology can do. Moving on to the next question. Is there an example of sustaining innovation in this case? The answer is yes. A great example is Microsoft's decision to make its software compatible with competing platforms like Linux and iOS. This represents a sustaining innovation because it involves incremental improvement to existing products instead of starting from zero. Microsoft refined its services to serve current customers better and maintain a strong competitive advantages in the market. That's all from me. Thanks for listening.
Okay, cast 2, Microsoft culture transformation. One big teacher families often lose their environmental stage as they grow large and stop behaving like stampers. Number 2, Microsoft was once a highly innovative, but after domination the PC market, it struggled to create major new products. Number 3, in 2014, Satya Nadella became CEO and focused on transforming the company's culture and mindset. Number 4, Nadella promoted a growth culture where employees flight self to implement, take risks and learn from the mistakes. And number 5, the company shifted from protecting static products to the actively developing and selling new innovations.
6. Microsoft embraced openness by supporting writing platforms like Linux and iOS, a major departure from the Windows-only approach. 7. The company acquired many startups and empowers the talented team with the key roles. 8. For example, Kevin Scott, current CTO, joined when the LinkedIn acquisition and played a major role in building the new cultures. 9. Microsoft discontinues and phone business, but encourage employees to use 20% time for personal involvement project. 10. This control shift ending a people shift. For example, openness and major breaks like ChatGPT.
I will be talking about question 1. Why is change agent needed for organizational change? So change agents lead the process and overcome inertia. Means that it plays a crucial role in driving change and overcoming resistance. In most organizations, people are comfortable with existing processes. So change doesn't happen naturally. A change agent helps initiate, guide, and sustain change. Coming to the second part, is a low-level employee better positioned to be a change agent addressing internal or external forces for change? So low-level employees are better suited for internal forces because they intimately know daily operational pain points, and external forces require top-level visibility and authority. So, however, both things are important as low-level helps to address internal issues and will help to address external issues. Coming to question 2, contrast the calm waters and white water rapids metaphor of change. So, calm water means it assumes a stable environment where change is an occasional disruption handled in three. Means that calm waters assume that the organization operates in stable environment. Change is rare and happen occasionally. When it does happen, it follows a structured process, typically as planning, implementing, and stabilizing. On the other hand, we have whitewater rapids metaphor, which it assumes a continuously chaotic environment where change is constant. In this scenario, change is not one-time event, but a constant process. It requires flexibility, quick decision making, and high adaptability. So overall, calm water represents stability and planned change, while whitewater rapids represent continuous